Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock. So guys, I'm sitting here. I'm about to go into an appointment. However, I got here a little early, and so as I was driving, I had something to cross my mind, and I wanted to share this with you guys. And that is to those of you who are in your process. Well, we're all in the process, but for those of you who are in the very beginning stages of your process, whatever that thing is for you, starting that business, whatever it is that God has placed in your heart, you feel it's your purpose, your calling, or your goals or your desires, and it seems like you're getting so frustrated because nothing is taking off. Again, you don't have the support you need. Listen, guys, the point of this recording is right here. I think what happens is a lot of times when people make it out of that very, very beginning stage, which is the most frustrating stage, it's almost like we're just so happy to be out of that stage that we don't even want to think back on it, right? We just kind of want to enjoy this middle process, and we're still climbing, so we're focused on that. But I feel it's so important to always go back and remind others on how frustrating that beginning can be. It's very important to let people know that you will have times where you want to walk away. There may be times that you will walk away and God will send you back, or he will at least nudge you. You taking that nudge as confirmation that he wants you to get back on board and pick it back up, that's going to be your decision. But truly, it will be the best decision you make if you pick it back up. So to those of you, you're in your middle stage. I consider myself to be still in my middle stage, right? So it doesn't matter if you're in your middle or you're ending, like where you've seen the goal or whatever to completion. I think it's so important, again, for us to go back and grab the hands of those who are struggling and really thinking that when they see people that they deem to be people who have quote unquote made it, that they think that these people have just been blessed to the point that there have been no struggles. And I don't know anybody. I just think a lot of people don't really talk about it, because maybe they just don't want to relive some of the stuff, or maybe again they're just still trying to go higher, so they're caught up in trying to get further along where they really don't too much go back and help. But I want to share this with you guys. All right, as far as my speaking is concerned, you guys know I'm a healthcare by trade, but I'm a speaker, an inspirational speaker by purpose and by calling. God shared with me 15 years ago. 15, could be longer if I'm honest. Now that I think about it, it might be a little longer. But 15 years ago, that I would be on stage speaking in front of audiences. That was not something I wanted to do. I mean, I always knew that I had a calling to help people or pour into people, right? So I do that in other ways, especially more in my personal life. But I remember the glimpse that and again, I'm also a visionary. So he showed it to me 15 years ago. And I was like, because again, I'm shy. People don't believe that, but I'm shy. So once I saw the glimpse, I never thought any more about it. But then God started to have me to do conferences in my hometown of Charleston, South Carolina, right? Again, it was nothing that I came up with. This is when you know something is your purpose and your calling. God brings it to you. It's not like you're seeking, I want to do conferences. Like, healthcare is what I lived in, like, desired. I breathe healthcare because I'm so good at it. But again, that just goes to show you that just because you are involved in something by trade, your jobs and your career sometimes is not always what God needs you to do as far as your gifts and your callings. So I started to have my conferences, right? And I'll never forget, I was still focusing on what God has shown me. He's shown me on stage with hundreds and thousands of people, even though I didn't want it, but he showed it to me. And so this is why it's difficult to be a visionary, because see, God shows it to you and all you can see is that thing. So when he starts you small, it's so frustrating because it's like, that's not what you showed me. You ain't showed me that. You ain't showed me 30 people, right? So I'm sorry guys, two women is, I don't know what they're doing, but they're so loud behind me. So when I had my very first conference, I can't even remember how many people. It might have been like 25, 30, something like that. Very small, intimate. I've always done my conferences in upscale venues. It's just something with me about settings. I like to have a nice, elegant setting. That's what I feel most comfortable in. And I remember I have a friend, her name is Kizzy as well. So those of you who feel like you've never met another person named Kizzy, there are more Kizzys out here, I'm telling you. So I have a dear friend named Kizzy, and she I was so frustrated, right? Because right before I started to speak, I think like, I don't know, 60 people, and mind you, this is my first conference. I think like 60 people had signed up, but only like 25 or 30 showed. So as I started speaking and delivering my message, I was frustrated. And she could see my frustration, right? And then, now this is a long time ago now, guys. This might have been like, at this point, probably 12, 13 years ago. So I remember she was like, girl, this is your first conference. Do you know some people can't get 1 or 2 people in their conference as a first time conference? And I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. That's not what God showed me. God showed me. I was so annoyed, right? And then I felt like, God, why would you? I didn't ask for this. You showed it to me. I did it. And why can I get the support that you're showing me? And then she said to me at the time, Kizzy, God will give you what you can handle. And I was like, I don't want to hear that. He showed me hundreds. He showed me thousands. So obviously I can handle that because he showed it to me. Why would he show it to me? I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. Like, seriously, for real, guys, I forgot to turn on my notifications. As always, I'm sorry. And so I remember when I was driving home, it hit me. She was correct, because here's why. After the conference, even though there were only 25, 30 people, after that conference was over, right? Because I like to walk around and greet my guests or whatever. But I'll never forget, the minute I stepped off of the stage, I had probably 25 out of those 30 people bum rush me, right? And they just started asking me 1,000 questions like, oh my God, that was for me. What do you think about this? And like, it's like they were pulling. Mind you, at this point, I'm already depleted, because once I leave off the stage, I'm depleted, because I fast and I do whatever to let the spirit fill me up. But once I release it, I'm depleted until I go back, relax, probably take a day or two to really get filled back up. And now they're asking me all these questions and want my opinion about this and soul ties and generational curses and and I remember my head was just spinning. And I was like, y'all, please leave me alone. Right? I didn't tell them that, but I felt that way. And then it hit me when I was driving. She was correct. God will give you what you can handle. Because see, if we're not careful, what we think we can handle will literally hurt us. So what he does is he gives you a small beginning, right? And what happens is we get frustrated because we feel like the people are not supporting us. In fact, what it is God giving you inch by inch and piece by piece. He wants to be sure you can handle it. He wants to be sure that your head doesn't get too big where you take the credit for it. So it's really about humbling you. First of all, he's protecting you because, again, you can only handle about so much before you get too overwhelmed and you walk away from it for good. Then he wants to be sure that, okay, if I can trust you with this amount, if your head doesn't get blown up with 100, I can give you 200. So it's increments, but we get frustrated. And even though my friend had told me that, I couldn't receive it at the time. And that's why I always tell people, sometimes you can give people all the advice in the world. They can't get it until they can receive it, because spiritually God have already dealt with them, or they have already experienced it. And then what happens is when you go back and you look at it, you be like, oh, now it makes sense. So even though I'm telling somebody now, The reason why you're frustrated is that you think you don't have the support. And it's true. It really is true. But from a spiritual sense, God is keeping some of that stuff away because he's testing you. He don't want you to get burnt out where you walk away from it. He want to be sure you do it correctly. He's working on your character. He's working on your integrity. He's trying to see if he can trust you. Like all these things come into place. I'm talking about something 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago. Well, guess what happened? I walked away from it for years, maybe 5, 6 years. I didn't want nothing to do with it. I was frustrated because I felt like I didn't have the support. I'm giving these people free stuff and I don't have the support. I felt like I was pouring from an empty glass, which I was, because I was going through my own issues in life and going through my own certain things in life. But yet, I have to show up fighting my own battles, and then I'm frustrated because they're not even showing up when they're supposed to, and I got to pour into them. So I got overwhelmed, and that's exactly what I did, right? But that's okay, because again, anything that God shows you, if it's from God, if it's your purpose, it will always come back to you. Always. So then when I walked away from it from all those years, what started my speaking again, when I was honored, and when I say honored, I mean all caps, honored, humble, and grateful to Keith Sweat for allowing me to speak at his concert. Speaking at Keith's concert, now mind you, I had already stopped years. And at this point, I may have, maybe 60, 70 people at this point that had already kind of was my max at speaking. And then I got shifted because God will throw you under the bus, not throw you under the bus, but he'll throw you out to the wolves, right? Because now it's like, okay, you walked away from it. You let all this time lapse. So you got to play catch up. So now he threw me in front of thousands to speak. Had no idea. But when I did, guess what? Standing ovation. Soon as the concert is over, the same thing happened that happened at my small conferences. People are pulling at me. Oh my God, who are you? Oh my God, I need more. Oh my God, that was for me. And guess what? Now I could handle talking to these people without feeling like I'm overwhelmed and my mind is slipping because they're coming at me like I'm a machine and I got all these answers and all the stuff they need, right? So look how, yes, I walked away from it, but I picked it back up. I didn't have to, but I chose to because I chose to stay obedient to God's nudging. And that one moment right there alone, and that's why I have so much admiration, so much respect for Keith. Anytime somebody puts somebody along your journey, it doesn't matter how long, when, it doesn't matter. It could be a homeless man on the corner. If God has placed that person in your life to be a part of your journey, you are to honor and respect that person at all cost. At all cost. So from that moment, and seeing the standing ovation of thousands and people literally throwing up money at me, it was so crazy. I still laugh about this because again, I didn't know you're not supposed to reject people's money. I didn't know. So I had all these people like handing me $100 bills and $50 bills on the front row. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? No. I'm no pastor. I'm just as in my process like you. I'm a regular street chick with a sprinkle of spiritual. I don't want your money. I'm not taking your money because God has blessed your girl abundantly and I don't play like that. I don't play with God's blessings. And then I turned right around and found out the next day from my mama and a couple of my friends, Kizzy included, was no, you can't do that. You can't reject people's money. These people are pouring in. And I was like, well, I know that now. Excuse me, guys. I just need a moment. I'm sorry. Lord, please give me strength. Thank you. So I now know, years later, why people, because I now pour into people financially and things like that. Now I know, the point of the matter is I know now, but I rejected these people's money. But that moment allowed me then to start back speaking again. So you see my point on how the point of the matter is, it's a process. I'm speaking about all this stuff with an span of 15 years. 15 years. With years lapse in between. So it's a process. So when you start, it will be frustrating. When you start, you will feel like you don't have the support. When you start, you will feel like you're doing the wrong thing. When you even start and get a little bit up the ladder, you're going to want to walk away from it. Or like I did, you will walk away from it. But if it's from God, He will always bring you back. But please realize, don't give up. Don't give up. Everybody goes through this. Don't give up. If God has called you to it, you will have a small start. Because He's testing you. He's developing you. He's doing it for your good. So get to the point where you're not so focused on being mad at the people like I did. I ain't gonna lie, I'm still side-eyeing some of them now. Because, don't be signing up for something, then you bring in your mama, your sister, your cousin, and you don't even show, and you don't call. Okay, sorry. So yeah, I'm still side-eyeing some of them. But from a spiritual sense, it's not even about them. It's just about God holding some of that support back from you to really test you and get your character so built that, like, listen, at this point now, I don't care who show and who don't show, because I know now the people who I want to show are really not the people who need the message. The people who shows are the people that God needs to have that message. And these are normally people who I don't know. They're strangers, and so please also focus on that. I missed that. Focus on that. Many times we're also targeting the wrong audience. I'm trying to target people I went to school with, target friends, these sometimes are not your audience. So when you shift, relocate, even if you just have to travel, every other weekend or once a month or however you do what you do, even if it's a business, right? Still network it all around the world, because many times your support is not the people who you are trying to reach. That definitely has been a giveaway to me, because now I think 95% of the people is the people, I don't even know these folks, but they're way more supportive than the ones I know, So I hope this helps someone. I got to go into my meeting, guys. I'm so sorry about that phone call, but I promise you guys, I'm going to get so better at turning this phone off and these notifications. You guys have a great day. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.